Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamana Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Radha Madhava Kund Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kund Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kund Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Hari Radha Madhava Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Dame Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vraj Gachad Stotra Sattva Srimad Divine Grace Sirabai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrind Ki Hari Nam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Dainitai Gaur Pimanande. All glories, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. I think we can remove this now. Some clouds have come. It's a little bit heavy. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा माह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरौ श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं त्वं सजीवं अद्वैतं सवधूतं हितं कृष्णदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादं सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो कान्त राधा तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुति देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, it becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Bhagavan Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, is the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Bhagavate Vasudevaya Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Mukam karoti vataram pangom langayate girim yatkripa tamaha bande Shri Gurum Dinataram yatkripa tamaham bande Shri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Canto number 1, chapter 8, entitled Prayers of Queen Kunti. And today it is text number 17. Brahma Tejo Vinir Muktai Atmajai Saha Krishnaya Prayanabhimukam Krishnam Idam Aha Pritha Sati Brahma Tejo Vinir Muktair Jai Saha Krishnaya Prayanabhimukam Krishnam Idam Aha Pritha Sati Brahma Tejo Vinir Muktair Atmajai Saha Krishnaya Prayanabhimukam Krishnam Idam Maha Pritha Sati Brahmatejo Vinir Muktair Atmajai Saha Krishnaya Prayanabhimukam Krishnam Idam Maha Pritha Sati Brahmatejo Vinir Muktair Atmajai Saha Krishnaya Prayanabhimukam Krishnam Idam Maha Prita Sati Brahmatejo Vinir Muktair
Atmajai Saha Krishnaya
Atmajai Saha Krishnaya
Pranabhimukam Krishnam
Prayanabhimukam Krishnam Krishnam
Idam aha prathasati
Idam Aha Prita Sati Brahmatejaha, the radiation of the Brahmastra, Vinir Muktai, being saved from Atmajai, along with her sons, Saha, with Krishnaya, Draupadi, Prayana, outgoing, Abhimukam, towards Krishnam, unto Lord Krishna, Idam Aha, said Pritha, Kunti, Sati, chaste, devoted to the Lord. Translation and purpose. Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. Kindly repeat after me. Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. Purport. Kunti is described herein as sati, or chaste, due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Sri Krishna. Will be expressed in the following prayers for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to a living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was along the characteristic of the whole family of the the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should therefore look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent excuse me, to save his devotees. Mm. Such a chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it. Translation again. Thus, saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste wife, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons, and Draupadi, addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. So Lord Krishna had traveled all the way from Dwarka, like so many other kings um, who had assembled for this battle of Kurukshetra. And of course, we know that not like modern day wars that continue for years. The battle of Kurukshetra was settled in a short time, 18 days. Go and do your business, and then out. Uh, and the battle, this is a part of Vedic culture. If there's going to be a battle, it should be a neutral place. It should be a sacred place. Uh, Kurukshetra, Dharma Kshetri. Whole Bhagavad Gita begins in this way. Dharma Kshetri, Kurukshetri. So naturally, is now, he was getting to leave, ready to leave actually, to go back to Dwarka. But then Uttara came in her distressful condition uh, because of the Brahmastra. And then, of course, we've been reading how the Lord very mercifully uh, protected the child within the womb of Uttara. And now he's again ready, second time, to leave and to go back to Dwarka. And this is the beginning of these very um, quite extensive and very deep prayers by Queen Kunti. Prabhupada lectured quite extensively on these prayers, and I'm sure we've all read some of these prayers. So in this verse here, it is, or in the purport rather, uh, Prabhupada is picking up on this word sati, which he is translating as chaste. chastity, one of the very fundamental and highly respected qualities that we find in the Vedic culture, especially for ladies, because ladies uh, in the Vedic culture are meant to be uh, protected. They're meant to develop, uh, especially two qualities, which are highly desirable and which we could say are a prerequisite for successful marriage. Uh, what are those two qualities? One is shyness, which is, of course, referred to and explained in various sections of the Bhagavatam, especially when Narada Muni explains the nature in 5 verses after elaborating on the qualities within the 4 Varnas, qualities of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Then he, covering 5 verses, goes into detail of the duties and responsibilities and qualities. So chastity is also one of those qualities, chastity and shyness for ladies in particular. And what is being conveyed here is also this whole um, mood of um, total dependence, total dependence, ultimately on only one person or personality, and that is dependence on the Supreme Lord Himself. That's another very important quality for all devotees, not only for ladies, but uh, know and understand that actually ultimately uh, Krishna is in full control of what is ultimately um, our only solace and shelter and protector. Mm. That is what Krishna claims also at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Savadharmam parityaja mamekam saranam braja. When one fully surrenders unto him, then uh, he promises that he will protect his devotee. So here, uh, these will be expressed very nicely by Queen Kunti. Uh, the Pandavas in particular, and we can just imagine, isn't it? I mean, Queen Kunti went through, a whole history is there. They were put into so many difficulties. She lost her husband, Pandu, uh, and she was left to raise her 5 children by herself. Of course, they went to Gurukul. For many years, they were receiving their education and training in Gurukula under Dronacharya. But still, um, she was all alone, um, and Pandu had Madri, uh, second wife, and she had, of course, when Pandu uh, passed away, then actually it was Kunti who wanted to take Sati, which is something we that was covered in previous chapters, the Vedic tradition, which of course became something very controversial and was stopped during the time of the British, not to Sati means the chaste wife. That's part of the this whole aspect of chastity. Uh, Chastity and shyness. they both are meant to coexist. You know, if one is not shy, one will not be uh, generally chaste. You know, so chastity includes this quality of shyness, and in the Vedic culture, that is very, very strongly embedded within the concept of family life. Uh, that one, again, that's nicely explained by Narada Muni, one who enters into householder life, then yeah, in referring to husband and wife, Swami Stri, isn't it? Swami means master. So actually, the in the Vedic, uh, that is one of the reasons also that women should be quite a few years younger, 5 years, even 10 years younger than the husband. And they would, when both such a husband and wife, such male and female, man and woman, were, or young man and young girl, were actually qualified as it is enjoined in the Vedic culture, then the woman, the wife, would look upon her husband actually as her guru, isn't it? As her spiritual master. Because in the Vedic culture, and we can see how far removed we have become, women and men for that matter, men just don't talk to women here all the time, and the same for women. Being to be instructed uh, only by or by if their husband is no longer present by grown-up son, or when the young girl is very young, she'll be instructed by her father. This is something that we don't see, and we can understand. Been seen as the representative of the Lord. Uh, so ultimately, every living entity needs to take shelter, and women as a class, because of the biological and psychological makeup of women, need to take shelter uh, of um, of a husband. But ultimately, of course, which is being pointed out here, our ultimate shelter is Krishna. Uh, and naturally, Queen Kunti, the Pandavas in particular, Prabhupada would lecture on this, um, make reference to this quite often. They went through so many, as we know, trials and tribulations, as they say. Um, but every time Krishna was there to actually protect them, as he did for the Battle of Kurukshetra, as he did now also in the situation for Uttara, protecting Parikshit Maharaj. So now Krishna will be leaving. So it's like when one's protector is not there, one starts to feel an anxiety. So this is in preparation for these wonderful prayers that Queen Kunti will be um, verbalizing in quite, I think, I don't know how many verses, but quite a few, pretty well the rest of the chapter. We're just, mm, yeah, it begins with the next verse, which will be many pages. Yeah. basically. Those who are especially, yeah, just one small last point. Those who are especially devoted, I mean, those are actually, you know, uh, devotees. Uh, they, in particular, it's like, the non-devotees, they think that they can control their situation, or they think that they have this kind of mentality of independence. That's actually the basic, we could say, denominator for all conditioned souls. We have we think ourselves independent ultimately from Krishna, and it doesn't work. And the more one is actually uh, understanding uh, his position as a devotee, he's especially conscious, uh, and never forgetting his position of total dependency on the Lord, and therefore naturally, more easily, naturally tends to express um, this um, these feelings of dependence through various prayers that that we find throughout the Bhagavatam, and especially foremost amongst those prayers are the prayers um, expressed in this chapter by Queen Kunti. Yes.
I see that it's so important to really focus in every verse which is there in the Shastra. For example, here Prabhupada very nicely um, tell us that in this verse, especially this word sati, very important role to understand the whole picture. Because you mentioned, and Prabhupada using here two definitions for the sati. And the last word, Itta sati. And I remember that when Jiva Goswami is proving Krishna is the Supreme Person, using the language, the grammar rule, that first we mention who we know, and then we mention what we do. So here her husband Mhm. but she was chaste, and that was proved by sages in the forest. Like Vyasdev or someone, I don't remember who was testing Kunti Devi. Everybody knew. And chaste or not, first of all karma, and then the Pandava, and then so it's so intricate to use here the word sati. And we last we heard Kunti Devi about Kunti Devi's character in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that proving that she is chaste. We have to fix our mind. She is not questionable in character.
Right.
So it's so nicely, and we have to have faith in that.
Of course, here what you're referring to is not mentioned in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Uh, it doesn't mean that it's not a valid point. It is very much valid. Uh, and probably for most people, it's who are less to do with the culture, the whole situation of Kunti in terms of begetting children from them.
Maharaj.
Yeah, permission from himself.
Yeah.
Pandu.
Ah,
Fun.
from Pan-
What do you mean he took permission from himself?
she took. She.
Okay, she.
Yeah, she took.
Um, yes, um, Pandu was
Because he has some cars.
correct.
Yeah,
He could not conceive,
yeah.
uh, and like marriage, what is one of the main purposes of marriage?
Yeah, to beget nice children because they intended to
Uh,
grow up their dynasty
why?
something.
What is the main purpose of getting children? To continue the dynasty.
Means they tended to continue their family
Yeah. Most, let's say,
There are different
different
visions according to
generally
different
right.
generally
faith.
Yes. Most people,
yeah
it's a question of family.
The
yeah
most enjoyable,
yeah
situation have a child.
Yeah.
That's one of the for whose goal of the life is the pleasure.
One time, Prabhupada was uh, in the early days, I think, when he was
Yeah, the Indian.
when he was in those early days, Prabhupada was didn't have any temple. The devotees they would be having many programs. In addition to like in Gujarat especially, that was like, but so home programs were there. That's when Prabhupada started, a life membership program. Matter of fact, he stopped Harinam, public Harinam, to start the. So one time, people, devotees would arrange programs, usually in families that were quite well-to-do and very pious and like that. And so in this one particular home program, the residents in that family, um, like the husband, um, he introduced all of the family members,
yeah
and there were quite a few children. So okay, this is so and so, and he's 10 years old, and this is so and so, he's 15 years old, and then there's different other relatives. So after going through all of that, after the program, then Prabhupada, after they left the devotee students, that yeah, the mentality of introduce, this is my such and such and such and such. So Prabhupada made a statement, something like, and this is my sex life, the history of my sex life. Because actually, most people, uh, they marry because they have uh, a need for sex life. Of course, in the Vedic culture, regulated sex life is meant to be there if one is properly trained and educated. And also, most important for us as devotees, purpose of marriage is to actually beget Krishna conscious children, for which there is the Garbhadana Samskara and various guidelines that one should be following, etc. So, uh, so yes, in the Vedic culture, family life is regarded as extremely sacred, very sacred institution, which nowadays, unfortunately, has practically been destroyed in our modern day society. And that's, if we want to actually, that's one of the important aspects, in addition to preaching to people to become full-time devotees, one of the obvious and very important ways as well to make devotees is through responsible grihastas, who will be able to bring forth very unique and special souls who will be attracted actually due to the consciousness of both the father and the mother, especially at the time of conception, isn't it? And in this way, um, Prabhupada expected and wanted, and that's why this early training is so important, that our householders become very qualified as householders by following these different samskaras, so that the children born within our devotee families, well, when it's time for them to go to Gurukul, they will have already received a very good training, because the first education is the responsibility of the parents. They are the first educators, so that by the time the 5 years of age comes around, they they're already nicely disposed, and they have already received and followed different samskaras, and then we can expect to have very very responsible and elevated souls who will learn about the whole Vedic culture and understand the full mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the whole mission of the Vedic culture, etc., like that. So, yeah, uh, that's an important angle that you're bringing in, of course, in the context of Queen Kunti. And mm, this can only be, the whole, the word sati itself. The word sati itself is a very interesting term, which has a whole cultural connotation to it, and which is, of course, misunderstood, because most people are much less aware of the deep meanings, actually the underground values and meaning in the Vedic culture, as to why we do certain things, as to why, for example, we it is planned segregation between boys and girls. Boys and girls are not meant to just mix freely, especially when they are reaching a certain age. So, and that was shown also in terms of the homes in which, in the days of what we call joint family, which is practically non-existing today. But Prabhupada was referring how in those days, it was seen as like very unusual, even for a married man during the day, to speak to his wife openly. It's like certain modern day people who hear this, what is this? But actually, it's all based on culture. It's a culture. Vedic culture is, if we speak about culture, it's that Vedic culture is referred to as divine culture. So when we remove the divine dimension, everything
Gone.
finished. Correct.
As you mentioned that the Vedic culture is mostly country culture,
Yes.
and then when they go back, ladies was not going out by alone, or maybe they needed something to send
Yes.
servants.
Yes.
They are
Yeah.
accompanied by
And
someone
they,
else.
when go out, they were just covered, and
Pallaki.
Yes.
at least the poor ladies also used covering their face.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one should see
Yeah.
them.
That's
Especially in Gujarat side,
they,
Rajasthan,
they still follow.
yeah, they follow.
Yeah. Ladies are covered
Yeah,
with.
and they report that their skin is white because never the sun touched.
Okay.
And they were all covered
Right.
anytime. That's just it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sun considered also man.
Huh?
Sun
Sun
considered
considered
also
also
man.
a
Okay.
man.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And as you told, as just yesterday I saw the movie of Nilachala, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
Oh, it's a.
and there is a story when there is a questioning the chastity of one lady who is Devidasi, but the role is very strong that ladies should bow down only to their Lord, to the husband, no one else.
Right.
No, just as you said, no Swamiji. They should follow because their Swami is the husband,
Yes.
and they follow the husband's surrendering.
This is.
As
Yeah.
in Prabhupada's case was
Did
natural.
this is means Swamini Stri.
Yeah.
It is correct.
Swami.
Swami Stri.
Swami.
Okay.
Swami, just like Swami.
Swami Stri.
Yeah. Swami.
As you said.
Not Swamini.
Swamini means lady.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
that's-
Yeah. No. Swami. Swami means master, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Swami is three, and three one who is following, like that. Yeah. Yeah.
So in Prabhupada's case, that was natural that when he took permission to get initiated, he immediately asked his wife, "You are also going and take initiation." That was a big shock for Prabhupada to hear that his wife is not ready to take initiation. It was a shock.
Right. Yes. And then the whole, it's like tea or me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine in a modern age discussion by an adult husband, he or me? Wow.
Not not wine or gin or whatever, tea.
Just the tea
Yeah.
for me. You have children, you go to the well, tea or me.
Yeah. So it's like totally different mentality, and when that mentality, when that culture is not understood and not practiced, then we get the result of what is taking place today, isn't it? Totally undisciplined, totally unregulated. I mean, more and more Varna Sankara situation.
But that's this kind of chastity or shyness, how it comes together with the Kshatriya type of wives, because they sometimes, how to say, they fight with their husband. And Satyavan went with Krishna to the Haram. So, some cases it's not so.
In some instances or some exceptional kind
Yeah.
of situation, but the basic quality and nature. By the way, the class starts at 6 o'clock. But that is there. But in some instances, of course, because that is part of their.
They still don't mix. So they are also at the background. They are on the roof of the palace or in the balcons. They are not
Yeah,
taking
correct.
part of the
Yes,
main
yes,
programs anytime.
They
And the
follow and
essential
respect the
program.
basic.
Yeah, in various different and they find.
Correct. Yes, yes.
But there is another point more devotional service when there is a
Yep.
then Manashiksha is mentioned that devotees should understand that okay, no, I have one specific attraction to Radha Krishna and Braja. No, we have to choose and don't worship Lakshmi Narayana.
Right.
Which is generally is not a mistake for a devotee to worship Lakshmi Narayana, but on that level they have to focus only, and that's chastity in the sense of devotional service.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole other dimension of chastity.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. So, for the benefit of those who were not here at the beginning of the Bhagavatam class, Hare Krishna, we will just read the verse, but we will not again read the purport. This is actually verse 17. 17, yes. And it reads as follows: thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of Lord, and her 5 sons, and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home. And the quality of chastity on the part of Queen Kunti, as well as her total dependence on the Lord, is explained in the purport. And from tomorrow, verse 18, we'll begin the very wonderful prayers of Queen Kunti Devi.
When devotees turn to when devotees turn to astrologer, for example, or some other method to protect themselves from some distress, some illness, it's against this principle, because Prabhupada mentioned that we don't have to ask the Lord from anything, but in these cases we seemingly we turn to protect it from different.
Well, the topic of astrology is it's a very deep subject matter and controversial one as well. And it's probably not a subject matter you want to start at the end of the Bhagavatam class.
No.
Because then you're going to have another Bhagavatam class. But astrology has its place. For example, it's part of the Vedic culture as well. But devotees understand that ultimately their dependence is not on the astrological findings that might be there, ultimately on Krishna, because Krishna can override for his devotees and whatnot. But Prabhupada does speak about astrology in the context of understanding the nature and the quality of Gurukul boys, or even before one goes to Gurukul. That is, we were discussing the other day, one of the important responsibilities for brahmanas in a village, to study the nature of each young boy, so that before they reach the age of 15, they know, and everyone in the village knows, that he's a brahmana. He's meant to be a kshatriya, he's meant to be a vaishya, and one will receive education accordingly, isn't it? Astrology is there in marriage to understand the compatibility, and when that is not followed, then it can create, it usually does also, very chaotic conditions. Yeah. But ultimate dependence is not on astrology, but on Lord Krishna. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Pimanandi.
His Holiness Bhakti